All set to spray the high build primer on Project Mockingbird. And what I plan on spraying the car with is right here, the Evercoat Super Build 4-to-1 Ultra High Build Polyester Primer Surfacer. Yes, I can read clearly. That's what it says right on here. Biggest thing is this is a direct to metal, so if I did burn through to bare metal in a few small spots, I think I'm going to be okay with that. Now, if I had a large area, I'd probably change your mind. Now, this does have the mixing instructions right here on there and spraying instructions, right? Because we read directions. In this case, probably not a bad idea to skim over these. Some epoxy primers, and this is an epoxy, it has a induction time. You put the paint in and have to let it sit before you spray it. Well, this doesn't say anything about that. And it kind of tells you what to do. And then here's the thing about it. This is an important piece of the puzzle. 2.0 millimeter nozzle or larger. That's huge. So this stuff must be pretty thick. I already opened it, stirred it up real good. I'm going to mix up approximately 8 ounces of paint, and then of course 4-to-1. That means 2 ounces of the catalyst or to make it happen or stuff. I want to mix that up, get it stirred up, put it here in my gun, and get the spraying. This is a Harbor Freight Special, I believe. I didn't pay a whole lot for it. I bought it online, I think, actually. But it has the 2.0 tip on it. It says that right. Of course, I can get the camera to focus upside down, but you get the idea. That's what I'm going to use to try to spray the primer here on the Mockingbird project. And before we get into all the fun of spray painting the old Mockingbird here with that epoxy high build primer, surface prep. We've got this thing all sanded with 220, but it needs cleaned off. It's really dusty to the touch. It kind of leaves a little bit of a film, dust film. Step one, blow it off, bunch of compressed air, get as much blown out as you possibly can for many reasons, less to wipe up, and then it doesn't blow up the dust when you're spraying, trying to keep the dust down. So once it's all blown off, then I use these microfiber cloths. Then I wipe the whole thing down, alternating cloths, and these are easy to wash and recycle. And that seems to work really good. If there's any areas that are smudgy fingerprints or questionable, rubbing alcohol seems to be my go-to. It evaporates quickly, but I've heard of people using glass cleaner. Works pretty good too. I guess I would say try it and then do a bit of a spray out and see if there's any reaction. If everything looks good, go for it. But nonetheless, I'm gonna get this thing wiped down, and then we'll commence to put in a coat of primer here on the Mockingbird. Got everything sprayed. It looks pretty good. It started to cloud up pretty bad, so I went ahead and drug this car back in. But now, Indiana weather, you wait 5 minutes. Of course, it changes. Looks decent, but this has a few bits of bare metal. I do not want this sitting outside, so I'll try to work my way around here. But the paint came out decent. It lays out okay. I have good coverage. It covered up all the areas of highs and lows. It looks nice and even. I like this. I think it's going to be okay. I won't be able to know the whole story on sanding until I let it sit for at least a week. Give this stuff plenty of time to shrink and dry. I just hate when sand marks bleed back through, but I just couldn't get it quite to spray as smooth as I wanted it. If you look carefully here at the texture of that paint, I've got it here focusing in real nice. It's a little rough. I think I can make that work, but I was kind of hoping it would have sprayed a little smoother than it did, but that's probably partially my mistake or my error, who knows, or that paint is pretty thick. Now this has been drying about 30 minutes, so I'll tell you what, that looks pretty good. Something else I did is a bit of a trick because I didn't want to take the spoiler off. I wanted to paint it, is I shimmed it up so I didn't have a weird paint line around the base of the spoiler. You'll see I stacked the nut underneath that. So that seemed to work pretty good. So the whole car has a nice even coat on it. So the next thing in, of course, is let this dry. then we'll proceed with the block sander. All right, so how do I feel about that paint? It didn't spray as smooth as the Clausen stuff I used to use, but it's still a polyester primer. It is a direct to metal. And I'll give you a report here as soon as this cures for quite some time, how well or it doesn't sand. So we're going to find out, and that's why I'll, of course, share with you guys. So I want to show you, I got this one primed. Now the back in Blackbird doing two at the same time kind of craziness. Well, as you can tell, I'm doing all the body working. That's just about finished. I have to finish up repairing the hood. Even though it's a new hood, it has a few small blemishes that need to be filled with body filler. And then we'll go ahead and probably hit this with just a thin coat of epoxy primer. It's just so much bare metal that poked back through and sanding this out that I feel that I want to put epoxy underneath and not just trust that evercoat direct to metal stuff. It probably would be fine. If you guys have used it and have a car and painted with it over 5 years ago, it still looks great, let me know. But this is a little bit of uncharted territory, and I don't want to find out the hard way, especially with a car that I plan on painting black, that I've got blemishes bleeding back through or any kind of issues underneath the surface, because it's a lot of work to fix all that. So nonetheless, thank you for following me on the journey of these Firebirds, bringing them back to life, sharing what happens, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I hope this prime works out great, and I'll report back to you what I find. So thanks again for watching. I hope to catch you guys next time.